Hey, this is Tim Pierce. Floyd Rose contacted me and said he had a new invention. I said, come on by. He and his wife Faith came over and they loaned me this guitar. It has a speed guide, which is this raised section that helps the player play faster by keeping your pick from going down too far. For me, it really works. I am pretty slow with my right hand, and I'm actually getting more fast and more accurate with this, so I think it works. Another thing I like is that these two pickups are blendable. There's a blend knob with a detent, so you can blend the size and mid-range of the humbucker with the openness and top and bottom of the neck single coil and vice versa. When I moved to LA in 1979, very soon afterwards, the Floyd Rose Bridge appeared, and I've depended on it through my entire career in the studio and live. There's really nothing like it. So the opportunity to meet him, it was kind of a dream come true. He's a very interesting guy. He kept all of his licensing and patents. He retained ownership, and that allowed him at 40 to go back to school and study biotech and genetic engineering. So we got an interview of him talking about his guitar and talking about his life as an inventor. Click the link below if you want to check out the masterclass. We're up to over 1,000 videos and over 100 hours of lessons and content. Well, let's talk about specifically what this does. It keeps me and you, and any guitar player picks this up, it keeps us from going too deep as we pick. And so I noticed right away, I can alternate pick faster because the wood underneath the strings is close enough where I never go down too far. So it's basically training me to be a better right-hand picker.
That's true. It's all about resistance on your pick. Obviously, with that shape of pick, the higher on the pick you hit, the more resistance there's going to be, and when it's not expected, it can cause you to fumble.
Right.
So this is the first really invention for a guitar that is meant to help your right hand. Everything's always been for the fingering hand, the left hand in our case, but nothing has ever helped your right hand picking. And this is
Well, a lot of players, frankly, might not need it because they already have the best habits with regards to alternate picking. And it actually creates a new, better habit for me. I do better. And so I'm a good candidate for this.
And it does train you to be very aware of the depth you're picking when you're trying to learn to play really fast alternate picking. However, I have found that people like Ben Higgins from England, who is just a monster player, can play as fast as you can think.
Right.
You know, he just got one and he loves it. Steve Stein has tried it out. He seems to like it a lot. These guys are, they don't need any help. No. Chris Poland, the first time he played it, we were at the NAMM show. He played it for a while. He was just going crazy on it, playing all his best stuff. And afterwards, he confided in me. He says, I did stuff on there that I don't normally try in these situations because it was so easy to play. It really does help you, I think, at any level. What you'll find that I've found is your right wrist and everything starts to relax.
Okay. So you've started practicing the guitar again.
Yeah, I've been playing about 1.5 years now.
Have you talked about the finger-picking virtues of this? Because it does seem to actually help when I lay my fingers down on it. It creates a more even approach.
Yeah. And it is adjustable. If you find that the way we send them out is a little... it's what I consider the ideal location for resistance. And it kind of matters what kind of pick you use, too. I have a stiff 88 pick.
For speed, I always use a pointy one. Last time we met, there were 6 of these, and I was able to choose the height that worked best for me, and it's called low. And what you're talking about is you put a shim under the neck, and you adjust the bridge. It's very easy to do. You do have to take the neck off to do it, though.
You do, but it's real easy. You don't even have to unclamp the bridge.
Yeah, so you can actually adjust to your taste how close you want
Yep.
the speed
How deep the pick
plate
is.
to be.
Like if you have a soft pick, you probably want a little bit further because it'll get too light, the
Yeah.
resistance. It
Yeah.
can get too light. I've tried it.
Yeah.
I've got it even lower and went, okay, that's too low.
There's another thing I really like about this guitar, and it's the 2 pickup configuration with the blend knob.
What I've always liked about single coils, because I always started playing a Strat, and I love that Hendrixy, that
Me
hollow
too.
sound.
The
and
neck
I
pickup
just
on a
love
Strat.
that.
Home.
But as time went on and music changed a little, I had to switch over and use a humbucker more. And of course, the design of a humbucker is to cancel noise, so you can use higher gain and not be as noisy. But it has the unfortunate side effect of rolling off the high highs and the low lows.
Right.
And the Strat is the opposite. It's kind of scooped out in the middle. That's what gives it that tone. So if you start all the way in the same position as this and you start to blend it forward, this stays the same volume, but it starts to blend this in. It fills in the high highs and the low lows on the humbucker and makes it sound just really wide.
Gotcha. When you blend the neck pickup into the humbucker, everything stays the same, but you do hear, an increase in bottom and top and brightness, the way this pickup is.
Right.
Vice versa, it's the same way. When you blend the humbucker in with this pickup, the mid-range gets fuller. I happen to have behind me a bridge, a raw bridge, and it has this thing on it, which
Yes.
I never had. I've had lots of Floyd Roses.
Never
I
had
told
that
you,
on it.
Never had that on it. Explain this. This is a cool
Okay.
thing.
A Floyd Rose bridge, installed properly and made by the German manufacturer Schaller, made correctly, will always stay in tune with two exceptions. Humidity that changes the neck
Right.
and changes if the neck bends forward a little due to humidity,
I've
it will go a
experienced
little
that.
flat.
Yeah.
If you set it up somewhere where it's very dry and you have the guitar set up and then you get into a humid atmosphere, it can go a little back bow and it'll go a little sharp. So let me show you what it does on here and then I'll show you. So this is adjustable. I call it the swivel spring bar, and you'll see there's the same wrench that adjusts the height and everything
Okay,
else.
yeah.
Oop, don't drop the guitar.
I'll hold it.
Okay. So there's a wrench in there,
Okay.
and what it does is it adjusts the overall tension of the springs.
Right.
So if you're drifting a little flat, say you're playing, you don't notice any difference because all the strings are in tune with one another, and then you play with somebody else, or you plug in and go, oh, wait, this is a little flat. You can just use this.
And I do remember that over a couple of months, the wood would change humidity, like you said, and maybe the bridge was just a little up like this or a little down like that. And you
that's
always
what
had to
for.
make sure it was just right for the system to work properly. So
Yes.
I understand the benefit of this because really for a couple of decades, I had to always work to make sure that it was exactly the right
In
position.
line. Yeah. And you don't want to, take all those screws out of the back.
Yeah.
And adjust with the screwdriver there. So this makes it very easy. The spring,
Really
the
cool.
swivel spring bar, that's called. And that's a new thing.
Very cool. Well, lots of new inventions. You just can't stop,
I
right?
can't stop. I've been trying to improve my original Strat for all these years, and this is the culmination of all those improvements.
So I moved to LA in 1979, and almost immediately after that, I saw Michael Landau using a Strat with the Floyd Rose on it.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Bruce Gowdy, who's a great guitar player, got one on his guitar, and I just almost couldn't live without one. And it took a while to get it done because Valley Arts Guitar had to ship it and install it and put it in. And it was heaven because keeping a guitar in tune and
For
being able to
studio
use the bar, it was just a dream come true. I used it as a studio tool when tracking because I always hit the guitar a little too hard, And so I would always knock a guitar out of tune more than many of my, peers. And it actually helped me get perfect takes in the studio when I'm tracking with a drummer because I could just trust that it was going to stay in tune. And my friend Dean Parks was the same way. We would actually use a Floyd Rose simply for the fact that we could, even if we weren't using the vibrato, tremolo, simply for the fact that we knew the guitar would stay in tune through a whole song.
Yeah.
So it really was a benefit for me then. What I didn't realize is that you were a jeweler, and that's why you had the skills to make this thing, right?
I've always been kind of mechanically inclined, but
Yeah.
I made the very first thing I made was a nut for my. I had a Strat with a '66 white body and a '57 blonde neck.
I read about this. You cut up a vintage guitar.
What? You did what? Yeah. Another funny story about this whale tail. Eddie Van Halen actually had something to do with that.
Gotcha.
He thought he invented these because he mentioned when I showed him the very first one, I didn't have any of these.
Gotcha.
And I just put regular screws on there. And he mentioned, well, I'd like to have thumb screws on it. He says, well, it will. But what I asked him is, how much range do you use?
Okay.
And he said, well, I like to drop D. And I went, oh, okay, because before it was just way in tight and just came up here. Okay. So I came up with this so it would give him enough room to do a drop D.
Wow. That's great.
So that was his contribution.
Yeah. Awesome. A story about you that I love is how you would show up backstage with a guitar case in your hand, and you would ask security, not for the guitar player in whatever band you wanted to meet, but for the guitar tech. Yeah. And it worked, right?
Yeah, I tried it early on. Once or twice I asked to meet with a guitar player, and that got me swiftly ejected. But I would also only go to the sound check. So there's no pressure.
Oh, right? That's good. At that time of day, yes. Oh, yeah.
And they're setting up, and I'd go at what I would figure would be a good time. And, I'd ask for the guitar tech. So I'd show them, and, of course, they know guitars, too.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, yeah, I'm going to show this to whoever, And that's how I got into the different things, with the exception of Eddie Van Halen. I actually was introduced to him by Lynn Ellsworth from Boogie Buddy Guitars. Boogie Buddy Guitars made those guitars with the stripes. It made the bodies and those wide necks that Eddie liked to use. But actually, Eddie was in town playing, and we met him at the hotel, and he said, gave me a guitar and put it on, and that's when he first got it. Yeah. Now I got to go backstage again and show.
That's funny.
So when I show up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you guitar techs out there, don't throw me out.
So Floyd, something that you mentioned to me that I thought was really positive and super smart, can I give you that compliment?
Okay.
Is that rather than go after people who imitated your bridge in the beginning, and there were a lot of them, I understand, you actually chose to simply license the bridge.
When everybody started making copies and doing things like that, we had the attorneys that approach them and says, this is something that's patented, and we get 20 years. At the time it was 17, but and you can't do that without, either we were going to stop people from doing it. And Dennis Berardi at Kramer, and we were sitting going, this is going so big since Eddie and Kramer and me all got together, and it was going so big. It was just hopeless to try to make everybody stop doing it.
Right.
And Dennis, wisely said, we can't sell guitars to everybody. So people are going to people are going to want Gibsons. They're going to want Fenders. They're going to, and we decided to just license everybody.
Was there a period of peak sales?
Yeah.
Or is it now?
As the music started to change, and when I actually stopped playing, my band Q5, you can look Q5 up if anybody ever cares.
Q5.
Google Q5 band, and you'll see my old band in the 80s. And in about 89, 90, we had a deal with Polygram, and we were making our third album, and music was really changing. I was 40 years old at the time, and I was going, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do my first love, which was science, and go back to school. And
So what year is this?
so
Let's
that's
say
89 or 90.
Oh, so you had this huge decade.
Yeah,
This
so
huge successful product that you
Yeah.
invented and patented. Yes.
and then as the music changed and
Yeah.
went to more pop, where there's not a lot of guitar,
Yeah,
obviously,
Yeah.
there's the sales went down, there dips. Always was pretty high though, because those guitar players were still out there.
Oh, I used
They're
to-
just in the garage.
No, and
and
for me, for a
playing
lot of
clubs.
people, there were different reasons to use a Floyd Rose, and they were
Yeah.
still everywhere in the 90s. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, you went back to school to study what?
Biotech,
Yeah.
genetic engineering,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I started a little company and got some patents in that area.
Great.
Sold them to,
Great.
and didn't really like it, to tell you the truth. Once I'd gotten all the way into it, it's not very satisfying to deal with little pipettes with little droplets of water and little gels and all that, and it wasn't that fun.
This is more satisfying.
This
right
is
here.
way
Yeah.
more satisfying.
Yeah.
I can create something.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. If you are a subscriber, please ring the bell. It lets us let you know every time a new video is released. You can also support us by clicking the link below for the online masterclass. As I always say, we're up to over 100 hours of lessons and content, over 1,000 videos, and we add more every month. There's a 14-day free trial. Take your time, take a long look. We'd love to have you join us.